Hi, this is Amy, and this afternoon we're going to be talking about the basics of Gmail. So I don't think this training is going to last anywhere near an hour, and I don't have any question askers in the call yet. So I'm just going to talk about some basic things that I thought you might ask if you'd been able to join me live today. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to screen share, and I'm going to share another window with you. And now you're seeing my inbox, and we'll look at a few things that you may need to know. One of those things is why sometimes buttons show up at the top and sometimes they don't. So you'll see in my inbox right now that you don't see very many buttons, and that's confusing to some people because then when you select a message, a lot more buttons show up. Another thing that's confusing sometimes is what do all those buttons mean? So I'm going to open up a presentation really quickly, and we're going to look at a little screenshot of some of those buttons and what they can actually do for you. One of the most important ones we're going to be seeing today is the archive button. And the reason why the archive button is so important is because you really want to be archiving those old emails instead of deleting them. The reason why is because later on, if someone replies to you and you have not kept those old emails, their reply might not make any sense. Not very many people anymore use that old reply with quote trick that we used to use back in the day. And so it's really important now to actually keep all of your emails. The reason why you can do that is because you have lots and lots of space. So if you look down here at the bottom left of my email inbox, I know it's probably really small, but if you look down there, you can see that it says using 135.07 gigabytes. Well, it can't even tell me how much I have left in my account. Here, this one says using 1.73 because my space in Google Apps for Education accounts is unlimited. So it's really great to keep things. This email strand right here is really a good one to look at. Uh-oh, Flavia can't get in. Let me help her really quickly. Hopefully she'll be able to get in, but this is a good example of why we keep all of the messages. So this email thread has 7 messages in it. And let's go back and take a look at it. So you can see out there at the side, that's a little number 7 right there. That means 7 people have replied or gone back and forth about a message. Well, if I had deleted those previous messages and I got Flavia's message that says, I'm registered, but I cannot access, I might not know what she was talking about. What course did she register for? What is it that she can't access? So it's really handy both to use conversation view, which is where the messages stack like this, and to not delete things, just to archive them instead. So I want to show you how to turn on conversation view if you have turned that off. So how you'll know if you have it on is that messages appear in stacks, and the stacks work like this. This is the first message in the stack. It's the oldest one. It's at the top, and they go down over time, and the latest one is at the bottom. So you can see this one 0 minutes ago. So here's how to turn that on and off. I'm going to go to my settings gear, and then I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to find the conversation view setting, which is right here. So you can turn this view on or off, and I really like to keep mine on. If I don't have it on, that list of messages right there that we saw that had 7 will appear as 7 completely different messages. Now, you might be afraid that that won't come back to your inbox when someone replies to it, but it will, and all of those messages will come back in a stack so that you can find them. It's really a handy way to do it. So just try it for me if you would, and if you have more questions about it, let me know. I know that you guys have already added a signature to your Gmail messages, so I don't have to tell you guys at Village School how to do that, but if anybody else watches this video later with us, then you might need to know. The way that you do that is you go into your settings gear, which is in the top right, and you go to settings, and you'll see your signature area right down here. Now at Village School, all of our signatures look like this. If yours doesn't look like this, then go back and find the email from me, the latest one. Unfortunately, we had to send out several different ones because we had to get the image right. And then you'll want to copy and paste this text and then put it into your signature area. Once you get that signature stuff in there, you'll want to save changes down at the bottom. Now, I keep diverging, but what we were talking about were basic settings, and we were going to talk about the buttons. So let's talk about that. This button right here is that all-important archive button, and the reason why that one matters is because we want to make sure we're archiving instead of deleting. This one is report spam. So what you want to do when you get a message that you did not sign up for, remember messages that you signed up for? Like, for example, in my mailbox, in my personal mailbox, I get a lot of messages from the Coach outlet because I signed up for those messages. Well, those aren't spam. Those are called bacon. And bacon are messages that are kind of like spam, but I signed up for them. So I don't want to report those. What I want to do is filter and archive them so that I don't end up shopping for purses every week. But if it's really spam, that means I didn't sign up for this and I don't want it, then you want to put a check mark next to the message and click the spam button. Let me show you how to do that. So if I'm in the inbox of my email, and let's just pretend, this is not really going to be spam, but let's just pretend that this one is. So I'm going to put a check mark by that, and I'm going to hit the report spam button. That doesn't just help me, that helps everyone who might be getting that message. So if it's suspicious, you don't know what it is, you know, don't even mess with it, just report it as spam. The next one is delete, and I never use this button. I wish I could get rid of it because I just don't ever do anything with it. If it's something that I didn't sign up for and don't want, it's spam. If I signed up for it and I don't want it, I'm going to filter it so that I don't see it anymore. And if it's something that's a conversation, I'm going to keep it. So that button really doesn't matter to me. I don't use it. The Move To button is going to let me create and put emails in folders. At least it feels like that's what I'm doing. So I feel like when I hit this button and I move it, that I'm putting it in a folder, but really these folders happen to be the same as these labels. So let's take a look at the difference. Let's say that I put a label on this Google Jedi email down here, and I label it as social. Then it's going to be labeled social in my inbox. Let me refresh so you can see. And it's also going to be in that label over on the side, which is what we think of as a folder. So let's take a look at it over here, and it didn't work. So let me try that again. Let me give it a different label. So let me label it Day of Code and apply. Sorry, I didn't apply. That's what happened to me. So now I've applied it, and you can see there's a little label there, Day of Code. And over here on the left-hand side, if I've got that label visible, you would also see it. It looks like I don't have it visible right now. Nope, there it is right there. So there it is, Day of Code. I can come over here and change the color if I want to. And you saw it change here, and it now has a little box next to it over here. So that's one way I can get it labeled Day of Code. But what if I want it to go out of my inbox and I want it to go into that label called Day of Code? Then I can do this. I can choose the folder icon and click on Day of Code. Now, the only thing that happened different really is that the email got archived at the same time as it got labeled. So here it is now. Here it is now over in the box. I can go to this Day of Code and I can see it inside there. There's that email right there. So it's now inside that label. It's archived, which just means it's in the big box of Gmail, and it's also got a blue label on it. I can move it back to my inbox too if I want, but I bet you have a question right now. I bet what you're really thinking is, but how do I make a label or a folder, and how do I get something in there? So let's practice. So let's make a label called Holidays, and let's put this email from Kim inside it. So let's start with a label, and then we'll look at how it is also really a folder. So I'm going to do label as Holidays, and I'm going to, since I don't already have one called that, it's going to give me the chance to create it. So I'll do Create New, and I'll click Create. And it now gave my email the label called Holidays. And over here on the left, I also see that we'll think of it as a folder called Holidays. And let's pretend something else. This is a great thing about labels. Let's pretend that it's not just about holidays. It's also about gifts. So let's do a new label called Gifts. And let's put that label underneath holidays, although we don't have to. It can be its own separate label if we want it to be. And now it's got two labels, holidays and gifts. And I can add as many as I want. I can keep that in my inbox if I want, but it's also over here in the quote unquote folder. And I can change the color of that if I want. So let me change the label color of holidays to this kind of reddish color, and I'll do holidays and the sub-labels. So there it is. They're kind of red now. Now, this is the funny thing about Gmail. I can move it to the folder, and that will take it out of my inbox and move it to holidays and gifts. Or I can just archive it, because really all a folder is just archiving something and adding a label. So there it is, just as if I had moved it with the folder button. So the nice thing about this is that I can put multiple labels or put things in multiple folders at a time. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back to our buttons again, make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I think we got it. Hopefully those are making sense to you. It is important to note that some of those buttons are context specific. That means if you don't have anything selected, you won't see them. So see how I don't see any of the buttons right now? And then when I click on Zoe's message right here, then I start to see the buttons appear. So pretty handy stuff. All right, let's move on. I think that you guys probably know a little bit about search, but I want to make sure that you know about this, because I guess I can't depend on only Village School folks to be watching this. So let's talk about search for a minute. One of the most powerful aspects of Gmail is search. And sometimes people actually do too many labels. Like, for example, they may have a label or a folder for this one called Zoe. Well, I don't need that, because let me just find messages from Zoe. I'm going to click the down arrow up here. Let me do that again, because it's kind of almost invisible. I'll do the down arrow, and then I'm going to say I'm looking for emails from Zoe. So I just start typing her name. I click that. And now I'm just going to do the search. Well, unless I have more information, but let's just go ahead and try this search first. This is a really simple one. All right, these are all of the emails that Zoe has sent. Now, some of them she didn't initiate originally, but she participated in all of these email threads. So let's get a little bit more specific. Let's go back to our down arrow again. We've still got from Zoe, and it changed it to her email address. And let's say that I want things sent within the last 2 weeks, because I know it was pretty recent what I'm looking for. And now let me search again. Oh gosh, Zoe sent a lot of emails in the last 2 weeks, hasn't she? To me. Oh, I didn't say when, sorry. Let's do within 2 weeks of today. And let's try that again. Okay, there we go. That narrows it down some. So I can just keep narrowing it down, and you probably are seeing that what Gmail's doing, hold on just what Gmail's doing is it's actually writing a search thread. But if I use this down arrow, I don't even really have to know how to do that. I can just search using the boxes that are on the screen. So that's pretty cool. That keeps me from having to label things, because if I know I can go back and search for it, then I really don't have to label. I want to introduce you next to the inbox types. So I'm going to change my mailbox for just a minute to the inbox type that I think you may be using. So this is the default inbox type. And the way it works is that the most recent messages are going to appear at the top, and then they're going to go back in time, depending on, what I have in my inbox. And you may have a lot of emails in your inbox. If you do, and you need to declare inbox bankruptcy, come by and let me know, and we'll just get everything out of your inbox and you can start fresh. The point is to keep as little as in your inbox as possible, because you don't want to be overwhelmed every time you open that. It makes you not want to use your email. So this is the default inbox, and you can see my unread messages are up there at the top, but they're also in time order. And I want to encourage you to try out priority inbox. So this is how you get to it. There's just a little down arrow to the right of inbox, and you can change over to priority inbox. Now, what priority inbox is going to give you is some sections in your inbox. So here is a starred section. Anything that I put a star by, I just click that, and then I refresh using the little refresh button at the top of my mailbox, and it's going to move those up into the starred section. If I want to click and change the color of my stars, I can do that. I just keep clicking and it changes the color. Let me show you real quickly how to get all of the colors. So I'm going to go over to my settings gear and go into my settings. And on the first page, I can have a choice. I can do 1 star, 4 stars, or all stars. So let me take it back to 1 star. It's just going to do the yellow. I can do 4 stars and it gives me these, but I like to use all the stars. So when I get that set up like I want it, I can save the changes. Then when I go back to my inbox again, and I click and click and click and click, I'll be able to see those stars change colors. And that way you can use the color coding. In this section, I like to keep important and unread, but you can determine what goes in these sections. This is how I like to keep mine set up: starred, important and unread, and everything else. Now, if you wanted to just have important, you can change the level of importance of an email. So let's say that this email is not that important. Maybe, it's just, for whatever reason, it's not important. I don't know why. It really is important, Tracy, but let's just pretend it's not. So I can change that to unimportant if I want. And if I had this section as important only, then it would move back down into everything else. So you want to label your emails. You can see everything I've got right now is labeled important. If I go to my all mail over here, this is where everything is, no matter the label. Notice that even the emails that are in the inbox are in all mail, because every single email I've got is in all mail. Even if it has the label Canvas, even if it has the label holidays, like the one we set up earlier today, everything is in all mail. These other things over here are just labels, just like inbox is just a label. So gosh, I got so sidetracked on that. I can't remember what I was talking about. But anyway, hopefully you guys get the point. So let's talk about how to change these labels if you want to. So let's go over to the settings gear and back to settings. And this time we're going to go and take a look up here at inbox. So I've got mine set on priority inbox, and you can see that right up at the top. And then these are my sections. So I've got starred. I can change the options right there. How many items does it show? Is it going to show when it's empty? So I can do hide section when empty, and if there's nothing starred, it won't even show up. I can do important and unread, starred, again, everything else. So you can just set this up however you want it to go, and your inbox will change accordingly. You want to save that, by the way. So that's about inbox types, and I really do want to give you a chance to try priority inbox. Try it for a few days anyway. If you've ever tried to check multiple accounts at a time, you may have had trouble with that. People have told me before that they opened a new tab, tried to log into their personal account, and it kicked them out of their school account, and on and on. Well, how you do this is you click your picture in the top right, and then you choose Add Account. So in that way, you can have, this is my personal account and my school account up there open side by side so that you can toggle back and forth. So hopefully that helps you out. I've encouraged you guys before to use Hangouts in your email. I hope you're using that already, and I really like mine to be over here on the right-hand side. So here are some different Hangouts I've participated in. These are just chats, and yours are probably appearing down in the bottom left-hand corner of your email, and they're kind of hard to find. If it's something you use all the time, you might want to move it up and to the right. So here's how you do that. We're going to go into our settings gear and go back to our settings. And this time we're going to go to labs. So inside labs, we're going to look for, let's just go ahead and search for Write, R-I-G-H-T. And we'll find the one called Right Side Chat by Emily C. And we're going to enable that lab. When you do that and save changes at the bottom, you're going to start seeing your chat in the top right. Now, you may have to refresh. I think it's probably going to do that for you, but you may have to refresh to see that change take place. And it just makes it so much easier to see those and use them. You can also make calls right from your email inbox, and you do it just like this. It, of course, helps if you have a headset like the one I have on today. I'll show you in just a minute when I switch back to the picture. But this is how you make a call. So you just click on your little magnifying glass up there in your chat, and you just type in a phone number. So I can just type in this phone number, which I'm not going to call myself right now, but if I hit enter, it's going to bring up a box and it's going to start making a phone call. I can also send text through here, which I do constantly because it's so much easier than texting on my phone. So I could also click send SMS and that will send a text message right through here so that I can type on my keyboard. Much easier. All right. We talked about conversation view already and why it's good to keep that on. We talked about archive versus delete and why we would want to most of the time use archive. We talked about labels versus folders. We know now they're basically the same thing. And we turned on one Gmail lab. I want to show you another one that I think you might like. A lot of people have used Outlook in the past, and Outlook allows you to have a split. In fact, I think it always has a split. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say that I wanted to look at this email in a split. I want to see my inbox over here, and I want to see the messages over here, or maybe I want to do a horizontal split so that when I open up a message, it shows on the same page. Let's see how to turn that on. That's going to be another lab. So we're going to go back into our settings gear again and back to settings. And then we're going to go to labs and we're going to look for preview pane, which is right here. Preview pane, so we can type in preview up here. You'll see preview pane by Peter B. and Michael K. And you can enable that and save it at the bottom. When you save it and go back to your inbox, you're going to see this button up here at the top appear. So I'm going to change mine back to no split. It drives me so crazy to even see that for just a second up there. But if you like it and you want to see it, then this is how you turn it on. Just click the down arrow and then choose whether you want it to be vertical or horizontal. Now, at first you're going to say, it didn't work. It didn't do anything. Well, select a message and then you'll see that it did do something. It makes those messages open on the same page. And I got to turn that off. I just can't take it. But hopefully you like it. It's to each his own. Let's learn how to use a filter. This is not really that basic, but I think it's super useful. And for those of you guys who have a lot of stuff in your inbox, this really may save you a lot of time in getting some of that stuff out of your inbox. I'm going to switch over to my personal mail now because I don't usually sign up for anything like Netflix or, here's Converse or MAC Cosmetics. With my school email account, I usually use my personal. So this may be something you use more in your personal account. But let's say that I want to see all of the emails from MAC Cosmetics and I want them to go directly to a folder when I get them because I don't want to look at this lovely glossy email and be tempted to buy more lipstick because frankly, I don't need any more lipstick and I'll probably buy it anyway, but I shouldn't. So I'm going to make it a little bit harder for me to do that. So let's make these emails, instead of coming into my inbox in all their alluring glory, I'm going to make them go into a folder. And then later on, if I want to see those, then I'll know I can go to that folder and look for them. So I'm going to put a check mark by MAC Cosmetics, and I'm going to go to my More button, and I'm going to click Filter Messages Like These. So it's going to automatically put the email address in there from macnews@e.maccosmetics.com, and legitimate senders are going to use send from the same email address every time. If you filter a message and you only find one email and you have 100 from that sender, that's not a legitimate sender. They're trying to spam you, and instead you should mark those as spam. But this is a legitimate sender. This is bacon, not spam. I signed up for this. So we're going to choose Create Filter with this search now. And now it says up here at the top, when a message arrives that matches this search, skip the inbox, archive it. If I want to, I can also apply a label to it. So let me do a new label and we'll call it makeup. And let me put it underneath something else because it's not like I don't have enough labels already, isn't it? So I think I have one down here called a personal or something like that. Oh, well, never mind. I think you get the picture, but I can do another label within a label if I want. But let's just go ahead and call it makeup and we'll click create. I'm going to choose also apply filter to matching conversations. So now let me create the filter. And what just happened is that they all went into a folder now called makeup, which is over here on the left-hand side. And I now have 905 emails, all from MAC Cosmetics, inside that folder. Hopefully that helps you and you can go back to your inbox, which may have way too many messages in it, and you can clear some of those out. All right, let's move on and talk about Boomerang. I really, really love Boomerang because it lets me send emails later, schedule them. It lets me bring emails back to my inbox if there's not a reply and I was expecting one, or bring emails back to my inbox when I need to take care of them. So I'm going to pretend that this email from Zoe, I can't do it. Maybe she asked me to do something, but I can't do it until next week. So I'm going to choose to boomerang this message and I'm going to bring it back in 1 week. So this pop-up's going to come up. It's going to tell me in 3 seconds it's going to close, and it did. It says processing. Now it's going to go out of my inbox where I don't need to see it until a week from now, at which time I need to remember to do it. And so 1 week from now at 4:14 p.m., that email is going to come back to my inbox. And I can tell you I'm going to be like, I'm probably going to go do it again and say, why'd she send me that? I already did that a long time ago, because I'll have forgotten about this by then. But that's one thing Boomerang does. Another thing it does is let me send a message later. So I hate to tell you this secret, but if you work at Village School and you get my updates every week, my techspiration messages, I don't really get up and send those at 6 a.m. Really what I do is I write it in advance and then I click this button down here, send later. And I choose to send that on Friday at, I think I usually do about 6 o'clock a.m. And then I hit confirm. And at 6 o'clock a.m. on Friday, that message goes out. So sorry to disappoint you, but I don't think that many people will watch this. So only like 3 or 4 of you will know. So there you go. Now you're wondering, how do I get that button in my mailbox? Because I don't see that right now. Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, but the easiest way is probably to search for Boomerang Gmail. So I'm going to type in Boomerang Gmail up here in my search box. And here it is. I see a button that says Download Boomerang, and you can go right there and install it. Now, it is a paid service, but only if you want to use it more than 10 times per month. So I do use it more than 10 times a month, and I pay for it. But if you are just using it 10 times or less per month, then you've got it. They also have a really neat thing they do. If you need to use it, let's say you need to use it 11 or 12 times a month, you can use their little system. They'll give you a pop-up that says post on social media to get more credits. And they'll actually give you some for helping them advertise. And why wouldn't you want to advertise it? It's a great service. So if you're using it and it's working that well for you, then go ahead and advertise it and get some more. We talked about creating filters and how handy those can be when you need to find things later on. And we talked about, you guys already know about fancy signatures because we added one at school. Let's talk about task. So task list is something that a lot of people miss even being a part of email. But if you get an email and it's something that you need to do later, like this is something I need to do later, then what you can do is you can actually turn that email into a task. First, let me show you your task list. So up here in the top left where it says mail, you can go to task and it will pop up a list down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So here's my task list, and I can add emails to this if I want to. So let me go and find an email, and I'm going to add it to my task list. So I'm going to add this day of code email right here to my task, and I'm going to go up to, I'm going to check it. I'm going to check the email, so it has a checkbox next to it. And now I'm going to go up to more and choose add to task. So here's that email now in my task list, and it has a little some little text underneath it that says related email. I love this because if I click on that link right now, that whole email thread is going to pop back up again. You can, if you want to, also get your task list to show up in your calendar, and that's super handy as well. Well, because I don't have any of you guys actually asking me questions today, and I'm not sure what else you need to know. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with those tips and tricks and wait to hear back from you and see if those help. If you have follow-up questions, please email those to me. So my email address is amayor@thevillageschool.com. Which you know if we work together at the Village School. I hope you learned something new today. If you want to get credit for this course, don't forget to email me and tell me something new that you're going to use that we talked about today. Or I guess if you're a Gmail whiz, you can email me and tell me that you already knew all that stuff. And I don't know, show me a picture of your lovely inbox. I'll show you one more thing before we go today, and that's going to be how to add a personal theme to your email inbox. So let me go back to my inbox again. You can see this, I think, a really cool picture in my background. This is a picture taken by my cousin Doug, he thinks of himself as an amateur photographer, but I think he's pretty awesome. And I uploaded this picture and I use it as the background to my email. This one is a picture I got from the store. So let's go and set the theme on our email. So I'm going to go to my gear and go to themes. I can choose any of these backgrounds that are here on the page, and you see how that's changing in the background, or I can go to my photos and I can upload my own picture. So if you have a cute picture of your kids or grandkids, then you can upload that picture from your desktop. So I'm going to go and select another one of my cousin Doug's photos because I love them so much. I've had this one for quite a while, and I actually have his pictures in a folder so that I can find them. So let me try to find my Douglas Wiggins photos, and I'm going to choose a panoply of flowers here. He even has creative names. And I'll upload that picture. And when it finishes, you'll see it show here. And now I can save it. And now there is my new picture in the background of my email. So I sure hope you learned something new today, and you let me know that you watch this later so I don't feel so weird doing this by myself. And have a great rest of your day. Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye.